I arrived in Singapore and quickly realized I had been lied to. This place is nothing like what I was told. Everything I expected was flipped upside down, and within minutes, I knew I had to rethink everything I thought I knew about this country. From the moment I stepped out of the airport, I was hit with a reality so different, so unexpected, that I couldn't help but question. Was I even in the same Singapore people had been saying those things about? And let me be clear, everything I'm about to share here is based on my own experience in Singapore. I came here, I explored, I met locals, and I saw the reality for myself. If you think you know Singapore, think again. Let's get into it. For those who don't know me, I'm a world traveler with a deep passion for exploring different cultures, cities, and the untold stories of every place I visit. I've explored dozens of countries, from the bustling streets of Dubai to the hidden gems of Eastern Europe, and I've immersed myself in the vibrant energy of Africa, where history and modernity collide in the most fascinating ways. I've experienced everything from ultra-modern metropolises to remote villages frozen in time, witnessing firsthand the vast contrasts that exist across the world. Along the way, I've learned to expect the unexpected, but Singapore completely caught me off guard in a way no other destination ever has. Singapore is too strict. There are cameras everywhere. If you break even the smallest rule, you'll get fined or thrown in jail. This is something I kept hearing before I visited Singapore. Some people made it sound like you couldn't even breathe without a government official watching you. But is that really true? The truth of the matter is that Singapore is one of the safest countries in the world. But that doesn't mean people live in fear. Yes, there are strict laws, but these laws help maintain order, not control people's lives. Here is what I experienced firsthand. You actually feel safe everywhere. Walking alone at 2 a.m. in the morning, no problem. I left my phone on a table in a hawker center, came back and it was still there. No one tries to pickpocket you or harass you. In many other places, you'd constantly have to watch your belongings or avoid certain areas. But in Singapore, crime is so low that even locals don't worry about these things. To me, that is not a police state. That is just good security. But what about the strict rules? Yes, Singapore has firm laws. But let's be real. Most of them make sense. For example, the hefty fine for littering keeps the city clean. Some people think that these laws are extreme. But let me ask you this. Would you rather live in a chaotic city full of crime or in a place where rules actually make life better? Some people also think Singapore is like a surveillance state where the government watches everything you do. Are there security cameras? Yes. But did I ever feel like I was being watched or controlled? Not at all. In fact, most cameras are there to protect people and prevent crime, not to invade your privacy. I walked all over Singapore, talked to locals, and experienced life here. And I never felt restricted or scared. If this is what a police state looks like, then maybe more countries should take notes. Don't bring gum to Singapore. The moment they catch you chewing it, you'll be arrested and thrown in jail. Before I visited Singapore, I heard this everywhere. People made it sound like if you even dared to chew gum, the police would come running after you. Naturally, I was paranoid. I even debated whether I should bring gum in my bag or not. But is this true? Would you get arrested just for chewing gum in Singapore? Let's set the record straight. Chewing gum is not illegal in Singapore. What is actually banned is the import and sale of gum. This means that you can chew gum if you bring it in for your own personal use. You won't get fined or jailed for chewing gum. You can even buy certain types of gum like nicotine gum and dental gum at pharmacies with a prescription. So why does this myth exist? Why did Singapore ban gum in the first place? The truth is that Singapore didn't ban gum just to control people. It was actually a practical decision to keep the city or the country clean. In the past, people stuck gum everywhere, on public seats, train doors, sidewalks. It was a nightmare to clean. In 1992, Singapore completely banned the sale of gum after troublemakers started jamming MRT's doors with it, causing costly delays and maintenance issues. The government said enough is enough and decided to get rid of the problem entirely. And guess what? It worked. Today, Singapore's public spaces are some of the cleanest in the world. But what really happens if you get caught bringing gum? If you bring a few packs of gum for personal use, no problem. If you try to smuggle and sell large amounts of gum, you can be fined. But jail? That's an exaggeration. Singapore, that place is only for wealthy people. If you don't have a lot of money, don't even waste your time going there. That is exactly what I kept hearing before I came here. People made it sound like you need to have a black credit card just to survive. But when I actually got here, I realized that's a big fat lie. Let me show you why Singapore is not just for the rich. I thought eating out in the city would be expensive, but then I found this. At a hawker center, I got a full meal for just 5 Singapore dollars. That's like 4 USD. This right here, Michelin star taste, but budget friendly. And trust me, it's better than some overpriced restaurants. If you think Singapore is only for the rich, you are probably just eating in the wrong places. Okay, if you want to stay here, you would need to drop $500 a night. But I stayed here for just a fraction of that amount a night. Simple, clean, and comfortable. Or if you are really on a budget, hostels and capsule hostels go as low as $40 a night. Moral of the story, you don't need to be an extremely wealthy person to find a place to sleep in Singapore. Now, this one shocked me. Public transport here is crazy affordable. For just $1 or $2, I can get anywhere in the city. Compare that to other major cities across the world where metro rides can cost double. And the best part, the MRT is clean. No weird smells, no delays, just smooth rides. Want to see this? It is completely free. Walking around Gardens by the Bay, also free. Hiking, free. Beaches in Sentosa, also free. Singapore might be famous for luxury, but there's plenty to do without spending a dime. But what about living in Singapore? Now, if you are moving to Singapore, yes, rent and cars are expensive. But for travelers, you can easily do Singapore on a budget. Singapore is a luxury destination only if you want it to be. But if you are smart, you can experience this city without breaking the bank. So the next time someone tells you that Singapore is only for the wealthy, send them this video. And if you've ever been to Singapore, let me know in the comments. Was it expensive for you, or did you find budget-friendly ways to explore? Let's talk. Singaporeans are rude. They are cold. They don't like talking to strangers. Is that really true? Are Singaporeans really rude and unwelcoming? Well, after spending time in Singapore, here's what I found out. One of the first things I noticed, Singaporeans are not the loud, overly friendly type. They don't just strike up conversations with random strangers. But guess what? That doesn't mean they are rude. Singaporeans value personal space. They are polite, but they are not going to randomly start chatting with you on the train, like in some countries. And honestly, I respect that. Now, here is where the truth really came out. I went up to random Singaporeans and asked for directions. And let me tell you, every single person I contacted stopped to help me. Some even pulled out their phones to check Google Maps for me. Will a rude person do that? I don't think so. Next test. How do Singaporeans treat you when you order food? I walked up, greeted them politely, and guess what? They were friendly. Some even joked with me. Now, of course, not everyone is going to be super chatty, but that is just personality, not rudeness. Here is the thing. Singaporeans are busy. This city moves fast. It's not that they don't care about you. They are just focused on their own thing. Think about New York, London, Tokyo. Are the locals stopping to smile at everyone? Nope. It's just how big cities work. So next time someone tells you Singaporeans are rude, once again, send them this video. Singapore is super boring. There is nothing fun to do. It's just skyscrapers and malls. Nightlife, forget about it. Are we talking about the same Singapore? Because what I experienced was the complete opposite. Let me show you why the idea that Singapore is boring is one of the biggest lies out there. First stop, Sentosa Island. This place is like Singapore's vacation paradise. And let me tell you, the way you get to Sentosa is already part of the adventure. The Singapore cable car gives you the best views of the island and the city skyline. It's like a sightseeing tour before you even get there. Seriously, look at this. How can anyone say this place is boring? Now, once you are here, there's so much to do. One of my favorite experiences here, the Skyline Luge. Imagine go-karting, but downhill on a twisting track through the jungle. You control the speed so you can take it slow and enjoy the views. Or you can go full speed and race your friends. I did not expect this to be so much fun. But trust me, it's one of the best things to do on Sentosa. And guess what? Once you are done, you don't have to walk back up. Instead of walking back up, you take the Sky Ride, an open-air chairlift that gives you insane views of Sentosa. This was one of the most unexpected highlights of my trip, just floating over the island, feeling the breeze and taking in the views. And guess what? You can just go again. One ride is never enough. Not into adventure? No problem. Sentosa has some of the best beaches in Singapore. And yes, there are beach clubs too. You can chill with a drink and soak in the island vibes, whether you want adventure, relaxation, or just a fun day out. Sentosa has it all. Singapore is one of the world's best food destinations. There's no way you can call a place with this much amazing food boring. I could eat at a different hawker center every day for a month and still not run out of things to try. And the best part, the food scene doesn't stop. Late night supper culture is real here. People say Singapore's nightlife is boring, but have they even been here? From rooftop lounges with insane city views to party spots in Clarke Quay, this city has energy, chill vibes, party vibes, whatever you're looking for. Singapore has it. You think Singapore is just buildings and malls? Think again. There are so many places to escape the city. Hiking trails, nature reserves, even a treetop walk. If someone tells you Singapore is boring, one of three things is happening. 1, they've never been here. 2, they didn't explore beyond malls and hotels. 3, they just don't know where to go. Because trust me, if you think Singapore is boring, you are not looking hard enough. This next one was so ridiculous that I actually made a whole separate video about it. Some people genuinely believe that Singapore is part of China. Yes, you heard that right, part of China. Now let's set the record straight. Singapore is not in China. It's a completely independent country in Southeast Asia, located between Malaysia and Indonesia. It has its own government, its own currency, its own passport, and its own laws. It has been an independent nation since 1965. But why do some people think that Singapore is part of China? Well, it might be because the majority of Singaporeans are ethnically Chinese. About 75% of the population has Chinese ancestry. But here is what many don't realize. Singapore is one of the most diverse and multicultural countries in the world. You don't just find Chinese culture here. There are Malays, Indians, Eurasians, and many other communities all contributing to what makes Singapore unique. The food, the language, the traditions, it's a beautiful mix of different cultures. And let's talk about Singapore's economy. It is a global financial hub with its own economic policies separate from China. It trades with China, yes, but also with the rest of the world. It is one of the richest and most developed countries on the planet, not because it is part of China, but because of its own policies and strategies. So no, you can't just say Singapore is part of China just because there are lots of Chinese people here. That's like saying the United States is part of England because they both speak English. It just doesn't make sense. And if you still have doubts, check out my other video where I go even deeper into this topic and explain why Singapore is one of the most unique countries in the world. So there you have it, the biggest lies people believe about Singapore completely debunked. Before I visited, I heard all these crazy things, but after experiencing it for myself, I can confidently say that none of these are true. Singapore is one of the safest and most diverse places I've ever been. Whether you're here for the food, the adventure, the culture, or just to explore, there is something for everyone. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever believed any of these myths? Or have you heard other crazy misconceptions about Singapore? Drop them in the comments below. I'll be reading and replying. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more travel content, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss my next video.